I'd like to call to order the Wednesday, February 16th meeting of the Chagrin Falls Board of Education. Mrs. Bruno, please take the roll.
Mrs. Bros.
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel.
Yes.
Mrs. Garvey.
Here.
Mrs. Miller.
Here.
Dr. Swiffer.
Here.
Would you all please join me in standing to place the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this point, I will turn the meeting over to Dr. Penzarski actually, who's introducing the showcase?
Thank you.
Okay, are you in?
I am.
Okay, I will turn the meeting over to Mrs. Garvey to introduce the student showcase tonight.
So I am fortunate enough this year to be the board rep to the intermediate school. So excited to have you here tonight. As you may know, that the student council members from the intermediate school are here. They're going to highlight activities that in each grade level that relate to our February Courage theme of the courage to lead. These student leaders were elected by their homeroom peers, not unlike many of us sitting up here, to represent them. And they meet once a month to share ideas on how to make the intermediate school an even better place to learn. These students are joined tonight by the school principal, Mr. Curtis Howell. I think he's going to come. Hello, Mr. Howell. And by the way, Mr. Howell is in his second year in this role at the intermediate school. And the student council advisors, Mrs. McNamara, who is also the sixth grade science and social studies teacher, and Mrs. Cece, who is the sixth grade intervention specialist. Welcome, everybody. So I'll turn it over to the council advisors, and we can't wait to see what you have to show us.
Thank you. All right, fourth grade. Well, good evening. We are here to present our CFIS showcase, and our building. There we go. Our school beliefs or our building motto this year is protect, connect, and expect.
Hi, I am Elsie, and this year in art, we've been making woven pouches from our choice of colored yarn. And in Spanish, we have been learning the names of various clothing items, such as pantalones. And in Project Lead the Way, we have been able to pick a topic of our choice and later present on it to the class. My group did the history of candy. And in music, we are learning the names of different notes, such as eighth notes and quarter rests. And in physical education, we are learning the dance, the electric slide.
Let's go.
And my name is Amelia, and in ELA, for our class read aloud, we read The Insignificant Life of a Cactus and The Tiger Rising, which we saw the movie The Tiger Rising in the auditorium on Valentine's Day. We are also learning how to write a 5-paragraph essay using sentence starters.
Hello, my name is Freya, and in math, we play workplace games like round to the highest number. We add and subtract big numbers to other big numbers, and are learning to multiply big numbers. One of our favorite things to do is play Blookets to review our units.
Hello, my name is Kieran, and in science this year, we've been doing many experiments, including where we have a plate and we put Skittles around the edge and then pour water on it. And like the shell of the Skittle dissolves to make a rainbow in the middle. One of my favorite experiments we have done is where we put water in a cup, then shaving cream, and then put food coloring on top, and it looks like it's raining. And currently we are learning about abiotic and biotic organisms.
Hi, my name is Jack, and in science and in social studies, we have been learning about the French and Indian War and the early Ohio people.
Hi, my name is Allie, and in math for fifth grade, we do a Bridges program that is really fun. We do lots of workplace games such as Beat the Calculator.
I'm Lucia, and we also do Number Corner. Each month we have a new pattern and we try to figure out what's changing from day to day.
We also we do weekly math challenges, which is where each week we get 5 challenging problems that we have to solve, and we submit them, and our teacher picks a winner, and that winner gets a prize.
We also do concept quests, which are sheets of it's like math challenges, and you do them, then your teacher assigns to show that you completed it correctly. And once you finished all of the adventures, you move on to excursions.
Hi, I'm Olivia, and in fifth grade science, we dissected owl pellets and looked at the bones to see what the owl ate. In social studies, we used virtual reality and went to see where the Aztecs were. We also went in space and looked at the Milky Way and other planets. One thing I liked about social studies and science is the projects that we get to do.
Hi, my name is Henwick, and in Encore, in PLTW, Project Lead the Way, we get to choose our own project to do with a friend, and you get to present it. And my group did dinosaurs. In art, you get to make cool works of craft. We are currently making clay monsters. And in PE, you get to play fun games and learn a dance routine called the Brain Boosting Boogie.
Hi, my name is May, and I'm going to be doing ELA for fifth grade. So one of the things we do are reader alouds, which one of my favorite books we've read is called Flush, and I'm not going to say anything because I would spoil something. And another thing we do is a chocolate milk debate, which only fifth graders do, and we get to write an essay about if we want to keep chocolate milk in schools or not. So that's fun. And we also do emoji story title of the week, which is like emojis representing a book title, and we have to guess what the book title is based on the emojis. And we put our guesses on a piece of paper and put them in a basket, and my teacher shuffles them up, and then whoever gets picked gets a prize. And one of my favorite things we do in ELA is writing all the essays and stuff because, well, ELA, writing stuff, you know. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hi, I'm Lauren, and I'm doing math for sixth grade. In sixth grade, we learned about algebra tiles and how they can be combined to make algebraic equations. We also did pixel art with equations. Lastly, we did a fun stick and split game where you combine and divide numbers to try and get a goal number.
Hello, I'm Max Frankel, and in social studies this year, we learned about ancient Egypt, and we did fun skits with our class, and we presented in front of them. And right now we're learning about monotheistic religions, and we play Cahoots and games to review for the unit.
Hi, I'm Charlie. In ELA at the beginning of the year, we did something called a Joy Project where we made a presentation that we presented to the rest of the class about something that gave us joy. Mine was about art. And maybe a few months ago, we did another project called the Soundtrack Project, where we took a book we've read and we came up with 3 songs that are currently existing for the theme, characters, and the setting of this story of the book
Hi, my name's Avery, and for science, this year we learned about rocks and minerals, and we did labs for that. We also did atoms, molecules, and chemistry labs, and we just finished up learning about the differences between chemical changes and physical changes.
Hi again, Charlie. In Encore for art, we are currently painting like plastic sheets of our idols, and mine was a duck with bread for a body. And for Project Lead the Way, we're doing the same thing both fifth and fourth grade, where we pick something we want to research with a group or by yourself, and then we turn that into a presentation and we present it. Mine was about the history of moving imagery. And for music, I'm in orchestra, and currently we are learning how to use the bows better.
Hi, I'm Ryan, and a couple days ago we went to Valentine's Day roller rink, and I had fun being with my friends. And on October we we had a Halloween party where we would have like a fun snack and watch a movie.
We are so appreciative of everything that you have done for our school and our community that we have a little gift from the CFIS Student Council on behalf of Mr. Howell and all of us here to say thank you on your end too for the courage to lead our community in such a good direction.
I hope it's a t-shirt.
I know, are they
Those are rocket shirts.
I'm jealous of your shirts. I gotta get
Hi, Mrs. Harvey. Do you guys have names on them?
you
Thank
very
you so
much.
much.
Thank you so
much. You guys did a
Oh, you
great
guys
job.
look so nice.
These are awesome. Well, just having you here really was enough of a gift, but thank you. We will cherish this. This is awesome. We can be CFIS student council leaders too.
Thank you. Can we give our students a round of applause?
You all are welcome to stay. These meetings are riveting and you might learn a lot, but you might have homework and dinner that you want to get home to as well. So we understand if you want to, we'll give you a couple minutes for people who want to leave to go ahead and leave. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Fred. Thank you so much. It was great. It was great.
Mrs. Cece was intervention specialist. She's like, these are nice.
Well, me, it's just gonna go downhill from there, so.
They got my size right.
I was wondering if
I was
there was
commenting on this. I love.
I
the
know, me
logo.
too.
It's like a
All of them are
throwback.
cool, yeah.
It's very like 70s kind of, right?
Yes.
I feel like it was the Mary Tyler Moore show, like at the beginning where it did the lip.
Yeah.
All right, moving along. Could I have a motion for the approval of minutes from the January 8th, January 12th work session and regular meeting, and January 19th regular meeting?
I move to approve the minutes as entered.
Second? I'll second. Does anyone have any comments?
Yeah, on the 8th, you may have noticed that we failed to include that Mrs. Miller and Dr. Schlepper were in attendance. They were not official board members yet, but they were in attendance in that meeting and did participate in the discussion. We will add that. That was just an oversight. And then there were a couple places where we didn't make it clear enough that the public participation was the ideas and thoughts of the speaker. So we're gonna make that a little bit clearer and just say, so-and-so said XYZ, rather than just stating it. So those will be corrected.
Thank you. Would you please take the roll?
Mrs. Bros?
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel?
Yes.
Mrs. Garvey?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Schlepper?
Yes.
Could I have a motion for district advisory?
I don't really need, do I need a motion?
No, okay. Moving along to district advisory reports, I will turn the meeting over to Dr. Penzarski.
So the first piece on the agenda would be board liaisons, and I thought maybe board members would want to share their experience. What we did was we took each board member through every building and let them spend some time seeing classrooms, seeing teachers, meeting with administrators. And so I think that was something new that they hadn't gotten to do before. So I didn't know if anyone wanted to share what that experience was like.
Oh, I enjoyed it quite a bit for the same reason that I really like the student showcases, just the ability to remind us what the center of our purpose is, and it's so positive and fun to be in our schools too. They're just like such great environments, I think, and I like reminding myself of all that. So yeah, and I'm the board liaison for the middle school, so I got a chance to like go in some rooms in the middle school that I had never been in before, so I found that really helpful too.
I'm the board liaison to the elementary school over at Gurney, and I have to say, just across the board in every building, but at Gurney in particular, I was so impressed with what everyone is doing, and just the level of work, the level of effort, all the moving parts, all the different pieces that, you know, are coming into play. And I think that specifically at Gurney, even in the midst of some challenges and some space issues and, you know, some aging infrastructure, they've really risen to the occasion and just are doing really, really beautiful work. I was absolutely blown away by the level of organization. So again, it was really a special day on Friday. Apparently I've been roped in to judge a soup cook-off in 2 days at Gurney. Apparently somebody, it's called the Golden Ladle Awards. So I'm going to be eating a lot of soup on Friday, but I'm excited to circle back. So it was a great day.
Yeah, I'm the board liaison for the high school, but it'd been a while since I'd been in Gurney, and I had not had a child with the intermediate school. My daughter was in the last class in the old building, so that was great. And for me, seeing the facilities and then thinking about capital planning and about the challenges of building flexibility with changing class sizes and licensure issues with staffing was something I really had to be there and to see it and to see the challenges and where you move people and how you move people, and the difficulty in predicting what the size is coming up of new classes, and how you think you know what's coming, but then there's a blip, and how that throws everything with staffing and licensure, and what a great job they're doing in dealing with that, but how it's something that with facilities and planning we always need to keep in mind.
Yeah, I would echo that. I think what I loved seeing how busy and how full the buildings are. I mean, it's just so evident there's such amazing things happening. It's all about the kids. If we could go into the buildings every day, we would, but I think just remembering that it's always students first and foremost, they are our priority. But I have to say, beyond all of that, which, you know, I was so excited to even get back in some of these buildings where it's been many years, to see the staff, many of whom taught my kids in kindergarten, that are still there, they're still giving their all, they're so talented, and we are just so fortunate. And I think to echo kind of what you said, Robert, the creativity, you know, not only in keeping kids engaged and working through, you know, when we had masking and spacing and things like that, or other space issues where maybe the classroom isn't quite big enough, but these are problem solvers. And that's very evident in our staff, that they're going to make it work with what they have. And hopefully, as we look at planning in the future in our budgets, we'll find some room to help make things a little bit easier on some of them, so they don't have to problem solve quite so much. But it was great. I'm really glad you planned it, Jennifer. Thank you for inviting us.
I think for me, the thing that was most noticeable was the level of engagement and connection with the staff and the students in the classroom was so different from when we went to school and it was rows of desks and a teacher standing at the front. And obviously we've known that, and I see our mission in practice when people come to board meetings and have children going through the schools, but to see the buildings holistically and that energy, and it was just really inspiring. And also we had some good conversations with each of the building principals as we went through about where opportunities to build on the current programming exist and what some of the constraints are facilities wise and how we could address those. But there were two examples, and I hate to limit it with two examples, but I think they're so telling that just spoke so much to what's happening in each of the buildings. At the high school, it was very obvious to me that our students really do have very individualized programming, and then they work together in classes. But I would venture to guess that there are no two high school students that have the same schedule every day, right? So they're kind of moving around, following their own passions. We saw a student in the art department who was working on their art project, which dovetailed with their AP research work, which was just like the light coming in from inside the student as they shared to us their passion and how the art was combining with the academic was really inspiring. And I think such a great example of what we can do and what we'd love to do more of. And the same thing even at Gurney was evidenced at Gurney with the energy around the new garden and how they've moved STEM over to be closer to the garden so that kids could have more project-based learning with that throughout the day and built into the school day. And I love that they're both so organic that, that came from two teachers who had this interest, who then just started doing it. And then students really started getting involved, and then it grew to be tied into the curriculum. And so things like that were just great for me to see in action. I have a whole slew of notes, which I won't talk you through, but I think that was really, the one other thing I will say is we stepped into a few of the classrooms and engaged with some of the teachers and the students, and the pride that comes through from the students when they get a chance to interact with us and show us and tell us what they were doing was just really powerful. I personally send my kids off to school in the morning and they might not be morning people. So to see all these students just like really buzzing around, doing great work with the teachers was just really inspiring. And I shared in their pride for what they're accomplishing every day.
So we are already planning our second trip. So I think that will happen the 1st of April. And what we're going to do on this walkthrough is look at programming through the director's eyes. So special education, technology, our curriculum, gifted programming. And so you'll get to walk through with the director and experience what they see and how it impacts our district. And the best part for me about these building walkthroughs is I get to do them 3 times because I take 2 board members at a time. And so I got to see different buildings at different times of day. And I just agree with everything that was said. We have a pretty amazing district. Number 2 on advisory reports. Remember, we have a new structure to committees and liaisons. And so there was a council that existed called Inner Council, which is the heads of all the different support groups. And they meet with me monthly. And a lot of times it was just to talk about current issues, trends in education, those kinds of things. And in January, we made an intentional decision to start taking Inner Council out and experiencing different pieces in our district, maybe where they provided funding or how they supported a program. So the Inner Council's experience this month was our alumni center and the alumni kind of room that's in Sands, but Sharon was with me because she's the liaison, so I didn't know if you wanted to share anything about that experience.
I mean, it was great. So many people on the Inner Council had no idea that it even existed. And we started with, well, we were meeting in the PAC, so we started with the arts cases that are on the way to the room. But then now in the hallway by the Sands, they have the original meeting minutes from the first board meeting, which if you haven't all seen it, you should see it. They're handwritten by candlelight, and it's really just powerful to recognize that education has been foundational and important to this community for a very, very long time. This first school was built on this site before many areas even had one comprehensive school. And, you know, they had a Board of Education that was meeting and doing, so that was pretty cool. And then you go into the room and there's just all sorts of wonderful memorabilia. And Brian McKenna did a great job just talking through. I mean, I think he could probably talk to us for 6 hours and not run out of stuff to say. But people really seemed to enjoy that.
And our next visit, our next meeting isn't until the 1st of April, but we'll be going through the Innovation Center. So we'll get to see how that works and have students talk about the different machines and how the Innovation Center is used throughout the day. So I think that'll be pretty exciting. That's it for the liaison reports. And then letter B would be the Business Advisory Council. Not sure if, do you?
Sure, yeah, I'm gonna actually hand this off to Mr. Wolfter, who went to the Business Advisory Council meeting, participated, I think, remotely, and can tell us about it. So thank you.
Thank you. Should I grab a mic?
Sure. So or there's not one there, is there? Never mind, just- There you go.
Yes, thank you very much. I did attend the Business Advisory Council. I do think there is one here.
Oh, there's one.
I did attend the Business Advisory Council through the ESC of Cuyahoga County, Northeast Ohio ESC, I guess. And it was really informative. It was this past Friday. Jim Truckno was the guest speaker, and he's an economist, and he spoke about the economy regionally in Akron and Cleveland, used statistics from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, and then also talked about trends in the U.S. economy. It looked at a 20-year look back, but then kind of a magnifying glass on the last 3 years as it related to kind of the labor market and, you know, also relating to employment, underemployment, and those not in the workforce as well too. So a number of trends. You know, the presentation was recorded as well too, so we'll get that out. So you've got a link to that. I don't think I've seen the recording yet too, but just some interesting random facts from that. One right now, one of the only about 58% of Ohio's population was employed in 2021. So a pretty low rate historically for the actual number of people who are employed. And then he spoke a lot about, you know, unemployment being low as well too, because a number of people who aren't in the workforce really are not in the workforce by choice at this point too. So, you know, we're seeing in education and specifically, you know, a lot of districts in Northeast Ohio, not as many applicants as we've typically seen. Doesn't mean that we don't have good applicants. We're great applicants. It's just not as many out there as well too. So a number of other trends. I won't share all those details with you at the mic because I think we sent a report out about that. But it was really helpful for the school when Northeast Ohio's the ESC is a great resource for bringing in those sort of folks as well too, for helping us to kind of understand some of those trends. So thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks for attending on behalf of the district, Chris. Moving along to board recommendations, we don't have any board recommendations, so I'll move along to superintendent reports. Dr. Penzarski.
So the first thing I would like to give an update on is our strategic planning process. If you subscribe to the Super News, I actually did a video for the month of February. So if you want to watch, you can kind of see how we're road mapping and planning out what the strategic planning process would look like. But I thought I would review it tonight as well. So our first step was to do the Listen Learn survey, and we're analyzing the data from that survey. We had over 350 participate. And so we have some really good feedback and information to work from. Once we get that information, we'll condense it down to a report that we can share. And then we'll identify 5 to 7 focus areas. So what are the areas that we need as a community, as a school community, to dig deeper in? What do we need to talk about? And so we'll hold some focus groups and have conversations around those focus areas. From those focus areas, then what happens is you identify targets for growth. So what are the areas that we want to focus our strategic planning on? What are the areas, what are those targets that we want to hit how do we want to improve? How do we want to be better? And so once we identify those target areas, we'll bring back community again, and we'll work through the actual planning of the goals, the action plans for each goals. We'll determine if it's a 3 to 5 year plan. So our hope then would to be have everything in place by January of 2023. So the strategic planning committee had a meeting this morning, which was a planning committee on how to do the strategic planning committee. So once we get going, we'll be able to share more information and get that out to you. But that's the strategic planning process in a nutshell. Letter B is district advisory committee structure. I kind of just wanted to focus on this because the first thing you saw tonight in number 5 was probably a different presentation from the board and a different level of engagement for how those advisory councils and that liaison structure will work. And so I thought that that was pretty important to just showcase tonight, as well as answer maybe or just clarify some questions that I've gotten about the new structure and why we changed the structure. So in previous years, Chagrin has done board committees, and those are basically scheduled board meetings when the committees meet. And what happens is most of the board members come to those meetings and all the discussion happens in those meetings, and they're open meetings. The public's invited, but I can tell you everyone I attended this year didn't have any public participation at those. And then what happens is that information comes to the board meeting. And so what you see as an audience, what you see as a community is a presentation with very little board interaction because all that's happened in committee. And so you lose focus on what the board actually, all the behind the scenes, and it's not behind the scenes because it's a public meeting, but all the work that the board does. So we want to try a different structure. It's also the reason that we changed the structure of meetings per month to have 1 work session and 1 regular meeting. And so what we're hoping will happen is that we'll create these district advisory councils, and they're actually in committees. We've actually expanded. So there's one now for athletics. There's one now for curriculum and gifted. So we're expanding the areas that we focused and got input and feedback in. And then what will happen is the committees will meet. And then just like you saw tonight, the board members will come to the work session and they'll share with the board for the first time the information. What were the recommendations? What are we looking at? What do we need help with? And that conversation will all happen at a work session. So you can actually hear prior to the board meeting, the work that the board is doing. And since work sessions are better attended, I figure that more people would engage and be able to come. And then at the next meeting, what you'll see is the recommendation. So you'll see the presentation and kind of like that, what feels like a finalized product. Sometimes at board meetings, like it's already been discussed and finalized, but you'll actually get to see at the work session, the behind the scenes work. So we're working on putting those committees together. They've just started. Number 5 on the agenda will get much longer. So I'm really excited, and I hope that it's a better way to showcase the work that boards of education really do and help people be able to be more engaged and involved in the conversation. It's not on here, but I figure I need to give a COVID update.
Jennifer, can I just add?
Sure.
I've been attending the intercouncil, typically everybody, the support organizations have a representative who go down around the room and give an update. And I shared the example just to add some more color to this change of the November meeting where you presented the 5-year forecast. Is that right? And Ashley presents a forecast and it's very detailed, and she goes through line item by line item, and we've sat there, and if you were watching that meeting, you might think that she brought the forecast. Pretty much we thanked her for doing the work. There were maybe 1 or 2 questions, but not many questions. And then we adopted it. And the disconnect between one of our biggest responsibilities is a budget of $30 million. And, we just adopted the forecast. I would be concerned about that if that was all I saw of the process. But so people have no idea that 2 weeks prior, we had spent 3 hours with other financial experts in the community, and we're asking questions about what is the risk mitigation now that we've switched to self-insured funding, and how are we accounting for inflation in the forecast, and lots of great, robust conversations around making sure that our forecast is as accurate as possible and that we're prepared. And then we brought it back, it came to the next board meeting for adoption. This is a much better process because it will, with two board members sort of meeting to just vet and make sure that the right information is coming to the board, it gives us an opportunity to build trust among this new team, and also for new board members to take leadership roles in, like that's going to be an area where they're going to develop expertise on behalf of all of us. So I'm really excited about that benefit. And I also think, you know, one of the things we hear constantly is that people don't necessarily understand what the role of the board is or what the best skill sets for a board member would be. And I think the more we can do our work in this forum, the more people will understand exactly what goes into running the schools from the board's perspective. So I shared that, and I think that was really helpful with a lot of the support organizations in terms of understanding where the change was coming from.
So I just want to add a comment that to me, the other thing that I really like about it is we often try to have a discussion in a meeting about really important things like the 5-year forecast and then not vote on it until the following meeting. And so this gives another opportunity for community members and parents and everybody to hear us deliberating and discussing things that are going to be voted on but haven't been decided yet. And then we have a 2-week interval where if they want to let us know their opinion or ask questions, or, you know I sat in the audience and thought, gosh, I wish I could raise my hand because I have a question about that. So that allows another opportunity for engagement for community members to email us, call us if they need any clarification on anything. So they do know why we're making the decisions that we're making. And then we're making those decisions at the following regular meeting of the board.
Now you can cover it. I think it's not much of an update, and I'm excited about that. But we did move to optional masking since our last meeting, and it's going very well. And I just wanted to give a report that right now we have 0 active cases for both students and staff, and I'm sure that will change tomorrow because it is an ever-improving target. But the data that we're seeing now is similar to that we're seeing in the fall. So I'm hoping that we're through the spike and that we're starting to recover, and our numbers will start to stabilize. So I just wanted to share that with you. That's all I have.
Thank you. All right, public participation. Is there anyone here tonight that would like to address the board?
I did not have anybody contact me ahead of time, and I did not have any signups on the sheet that was placed out there before the meeting.
All right, moving along. Could I have a motion for consent agenda items 9A through 9AG, please?
So moved.
You have a second?
I'll second.
Is there any questions? Typically, we just vote on consent agenda, but
I missed the second.
It was me.
no. Mrs. Brudner, would you take the roll, please?
Mrs. Bros.
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel.
Yes.
Mrs. Garvey.
Yes.
Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
Dr. Schlepper.
Yes.
Could I have a motion for items 10, superintendent recommendations 10A through 10K, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
Dr. Pinzarski, would you like to speak to some of these?
Sure. I think most of them are pretty cut and dry. The first one is a retirement, and that's Barb Smansky. She's been our math instructional coach, and I've been able to work with her through the district leadership team and also seen her in action with Becky and with some of the staff in the math, and she will be greatly missed. She has provided a lot of support to our staff. She's just a wonderful person, full of a tremendous amount of knowledge, so she'll be very hard to replace. B is just the hiring of Austin Smith. That's replacing an educational aid opening that we've had. Item C is just a completion of senior year so that they're able to finish out in Chagrin. D is just a resignation. Letter E is an MOU for remote instruction. So hopefully you just heard me talk about COVID and everything. This was, and we started this conversation way back in December in case we had to go remote, and we just finalized and reached an agreement. So I feel better that it's in place, but I have no intention of using it. Letters F through I, those are the hiring of building subs. We had approved that MOU at the last meeting, and so each building chose one sub. J and K are the facilities improvements that we've been talking about, both in capital planning committee. I think we've had some presentations and some conversations, and that would be for the HVAC system and the roofing. So I'm very happy Chris is here in case someone asks me a question that I don't know the answer to. But that's the superintendent recommendations.
The only comment I would make is as we move into the season where we're starting to hear of people retiring, that we be really thoughtful about looking holistically at if not just replacing that role, but is that the right role? And really using our head count as effectively as possible so that we can continue to tailor it to the needs of our students without growing it.
So Chris has been leading staffing discussions for the next school year. And so we as a team met with K-6 and we met with 712. We got to talk through openings, through class sizes, and through programming development. What is it that we want to accomplish? What do we want to change? What are our opportunities given retirements? And so we have a follow-up conversation, I think as early, maybe even this next week or the week after, where principals will go back and circle with their staff, get more information, and then bring back questions. And then once we get that finalized, we'll present that to the board.
Great. Any other comments?
I have one actually. So I would reiterate that. And I know that you do that every year, Jennifer. It's not like, every time we have people leave, we're always looking to see how we can maximize headcount. It's like we're as creative in central office as the teachers are in the classrooms with vacillating numbers of students and maybe not a large enough classroom. And Chris, thank you for economizing. I know you've got several projects here with HVAC and roofing where you were able to really get ahead of things, get a really good competitive bid. And this just speaks to the amazing planning that's happening right now with facilities and the forethought that's going into that. So thank you, because I know we got a better price on many of these than we thought we were going to. With regard to the building subs, I just had a question, and Jennifer, I apologize. I didn't think to give you a heads up about my question. So I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think it's so forward thinking to have dedicated subs in the buildings because we know how hard it is to get substitutes. And this way we have a person who is always going to be there to fill in. Are there ever times that they have a day that they're not needed? And if that does happen, what do they do?
So I'm not aware of any day that we don't need a sub, and when there's an opening, they are the top priority. So they would get the first job that would be open. The way it would work is that, let's look at the 712 campus, and let's say the middle school doesn't have a sub for that day. That person may go to the high school because they may have two openings. So our goal is to have them work in a sub role. If not, we would definitely have work that they can do, especially with testing.
So they're showing up to work every day and then being told, here's where we need you to go. They're not being paid to sit at home.
No.
Okay.
They're here every day and they're working every day. And our goal is to have them working as a sub every day because they know our district, they know our system, they know our students, they know our faculty. I mean, that's what's important. We don't want a loss of instruction when we have absences, and building subs help narrow that gap.
No, I think it's very forward thinking. I applaud it. Thank you for the clarification.
Do they participate in the same training as staff on training days?
Chris, do you know if they're participating on Friday? Will the building subs attend the HQSD? I don't think they will, but
Yeah, I think
will they?
there's a contract day for them.
Okay.
I have to check. I cannot remember the contract. They do have a few other things that regular subs don't have. And I don't know about that, but they'll have sick days that they have access to.
Benefits.
And I know that different functions do different things on those days. So, but it's probably worth just taking a look to make sure that they're being utilized and they're taking advantage of any training that would benefit them.
Yeah, if they're required to report, for example, on Friday, they would participate in whatever grade level and whatever curriculum they're doing.
Great. Mrs. Brudno, please take the roll.
Mrs. Rose.
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel.
Yes.
Mrs. Garvey.
Yes.
Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
Dr. Schlepper.
Yes.
Could I have a motion for treasurer's recommendations A and B?
So moved.
I'll second.
Ashley?
Yes, two very quick and simple items tonight. First one is a donation from Rick and Beth Haney at the John C. Haney Memorial Foundation. That is a $250 aquarium stand and accessories. Also a disposal. This is a volleyball, it's a piece of volleyball equipment that we are no longer using. Charlie came to me a couple months ago, said that it's taking up space, they wanted to get rid of it. He was proactive in kind of looking around and contacting some people because it is still useful. It's just we are not using it. It's not useful for our program. He did find a private volleyball program who wants to purchase it, so we are going to sell that to them for a fair price.
Great. Any,
Recommending your approval.
any questions? No. Ashley, please take the roll.
Mrs. Bros.
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel.
Yes.
Mrs. Garvey.
Yes.
Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
Dr. Schlepper.
Yes.
Does anyone have any other business? All right, our next meeting will be Wednesday, March 2nd at 5:30 in the Sands Community Room. That will be a work session. The following Saturday, March 5th at 8:30 in the Sands Community Room, we'll have another work session. That is the makeup for the work session that got canceled because of the snowstorm. And then we will have a regular meeting on Wednesday, March 16th at 7 p.m. in the middle school cafeteria. So you all are all about to become my new best friends. Could I have a motion to go into executive session?
I move that we go into executive session.
Oh,
Hold on. Sorry.
Here you go, Mark.
Yeah, you can use some glasses.
Okay. In accordance with Ohio Revised Code 121.22, the Chagrin Falls Board of Education will go into executive session for the sole purpose of the consideration of any of the following matters. To consider one or more as applicable: employment and preparing for, conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other items and conditions of their employment.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Mrs. Bruno, please take the roll.
Mrs. Bros.
Yes.
Mrs. Bendel.
Yes.
Mrs. Garvey.
Yes.
Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
Dr. Schlepper.
Yes.
And just to reiterate, no action it will be taken after we come out of executive session. Thank you all. Oh, I'm sure we don't adjourn yet because we're going to do that after.
We do that after.
All right. Thank you all for supporting us by coming out tonight.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.